In a small town in Nigeria, every morning, students would run to school. Even the hot rays of the sun could not suppress the joy of these children. But there was one student. Every morning, as she stepped onto the school path, the world seemed to become a little quieter. That girl who would come to school every morning, with a brown cardboard box over her face, with nothing visible except her eyes. 2 small holes had been cut into the cardboard, just enough to let her see. Not a smile, not a look, ... Her classmates would make fun of her. Hey, the cardboard girl is here. Maybe she's an alien. We've never seen her face. She's hiding her ugliness because even the mirrors didn't want her. Chika was quiet. She would sit at her desk every day and listen attentively to the lesson. The notes she wrote in her notebook were spotless. But no teacher would make eye contact with her or want to include her in the lesson, because ... her very presence was considered disturbing. Someone who hid her face was like someone without an identity. After school, Chika would quietly return home. Children would throw stones at her, pull out her cardboard, and try to see her face, but she would always run away. Until she reached the small veranda of their house, her mother would greet her every day with the same sentence. Could you stand it again, my daughter? I did, mother. As soon as Chika removed the cardboard, the large birthmark on her face was revealed. A dark red mark from her left cheek to her chin. This mark, which contrasted with the color of her skin, had overshadowed her entire childhood. When her mother first saw the mark, she cried, then took her to the doctor, but they could not get any results. And one day, her mother held out the cardboard mask she had made with her own hands, and said, "If the world will not accept you, hide from it first. Stay safe. When the day comes, you will take off the mask with your own hands." Chika had been living with the mask since that day. Every morning, as she went to school, her mother would stroke her hair and hold out the cardboard. But that night, when Chika lay in bed, she saw a shooting star in the sky, and thought to herself, what if one day, someone doesn't care about this piece of cardboard? What if someone just looks into my eyes? She didn't know. But that wish had already echoed in the heart of the universe. And the next morning would be the first day her life would change. The next morning, Chika woke up early as usual. She carefully put on her cardboard, put on her school uniform, and shouldered her bag. Her mother was waiting on the veranda as usual. I feel different today, Chika said quietly. Her mother smiled. Sometimes change begins in the quietest corner of your heart. She set off. As usual, the children mocked her, and the teachers ignored her. But this morning, an unknown person stood in the schoolyard. His uniform was new, and his face was shining with a smile. His name was Duel. The class fell silent as the principal introduced him. He was handsome, confident, and had a warm look in his eyes. Everyone was competing to be his friend. But Duel was only looking at one place. The cardboard girl in the corner of the classroom. Duel came and sat next to her during the break. "Hello," he said bravely. "I'm Duel. Can I sit with you?" Chika bowed her head at this unaccustomed attention. A barely audible voice came out from inside the cardboard. "You can sit wherever you want." Duel smiled. "What's your name?" "Chika." "That's a nice name. And your eyes too. They look very deep." Chika heard someone compliment her eyes for the first time. She blushed slightly under the cardboard at that moment. Her heart began to beat like tiny drums inside the cardboard. From that day on, Duel sat next to Chika at every break. She joined the same group in classes. They ate together in the cafeteria. The other students were astonished. Why was someone like Duel interested in this strange girl in cardboard? But Duel didn't care. "I don't love something I can't see," he said one day. "I talk to your eyes, and those eyes tell me the most beautiful story in the world." Chika's heart believed something at that moment. Maybe her ugliness was only in the eyes of others. Maybe one person would be enough. One day, after school, Duel gave Chika a small box. "Open this only when you are alone," he said. "Give me an answer tomorrow." Chika took the box. When she got home, she locked herself in her room without her mother's knowledge. She opened the box with trembling hands. Inside was a small note and a silver necklace. This necklace will protect you until you become brave. But if you ever take off your mask, that's when I want to know you. Chica lay down on the bed and put the necklace around her neck. At that moment, she realized something. She felt a little lighter. It was as if the cardboard was pressing less. Maybe it could be removed soon. But when she went to school the next morning, Duel wasn't there. And this disappearance would change Chica's destiny. Duel's disappearance turned Chica upside down. When she entered the classroom in the morning and did not see him sitting where he usually was, something knotted in her heart. It was the first time she had gotten used to someone. It was the first time she had connected with someone under the cardboard. Maybe he got sick, she thought to herself. But days passed, and Duel was not there. No message, no news, no farewell. It was as if the wind had taken him away. Chica's insides grew darker with each passing day. Every morning, as she put that cardboard over her head, she was no longer hiding just her face, but also her broken heart. One evening, her mother came to her room. She put the laundry in her hands on the bed and asked quietly, "What happened, Chica? You weren't this quiet even before." Chica bowed her head. "Nothing. It's just like waking up from a dream." Her mother sat next to her and held her hand. Sometimes dreams end, but the mark they leave on the heart becomes real. Rumors began to circulate around the school. Stories that Duel's family had moved to another city, that his mother had fallen ill, or that his father had run away from the city because of a business dispute. But the truth was this: Duel was gone, and with him, Chica's smile had gone. The girls continued to laugh behind her. "Look, the cardboard girl is all alone again. I think that boy was making fun of her. If he really loved her, he wouldn't run away." But Chica didn't care anymore. She only held on to one thing: the necklace around her neck. Every time she touched it, she could hear Duel's voice. "If you take off your mask one day, that's when I want to get to know you." One morning, a large poster was posted on the school wall. Competition: the most courageous student in the school. A special prize and scholarship for the winner. The condition of the competition was very clear. Go on stage and tell your own story in front of everyone. Chica's heart clenched. It was like torture for her. To go on stage, to show her face in front of everyone. Never. But then, something happened. That night, her mother came to her bedside, holding an old photo. It was from Chica's childhood. Her face was open back then, smiling. "Do you remember this girl?" her mother asked. "I don't remember," Chica said in a low voice. "I remember. That girl had dreams. She didn't hide, she wasn't afraid. But then one day, a look from outside covered her heart. We lost her that day, but maybe we can find her again." Tears welled up in Chica's eyes. She reached for her necklace. She made a decision at that moment. The school hall was jam-packed on the day of the competition. Students, teachers, even parents had come. The stage lights were shining. The presenter read the names one by one. Everyone went on stage and told their stories bravely. There was laughter and applause. Then it was time. Last contestant, Chica. The hall went silent. Everyone was looking at each other. "Are you serious? The cardboard girl?" And at that moment, Chica slowly stood up. She took her steps carefully. She walked onto the stage. The cardboard was still on her head. She leaned towards the microphone. She took a deep breath, and then she slowly raised her hands and removed the cardboard from her head. The hall held its breath for a moment, but no laughter rose. Because at that moment, everyone realized something. Beauty is not on the outside. At that moment, it is hidden inside that courage. And somewhere behind the stage, Chica's eyes saw someone. Duel, standing in the crowd, and smiling. When Chica left the stage, the world seemed to slow down. The students were stunned, the teachers were silent. But he was focused on one person, Duel. He was standing in the corner, his eyes filled with both gratitude and something else. Guilt? No, maybe regret. As Chica walked toward the exit of the hall, Duel moved toward her. Everyone was silent as they passed through the crowd. They had seen the cardboard girl, but now there was a young girl shining like a star in front of them. Her courage was reflected in her face. Chica, Duel said, his voice trembling. When I saw you, I really saw you. The girl stopped, staring at him. Why did you disappear, Duel? He said. The boy's face darkened. When my father's business went bankrupt, we had to move to Lagos. It happened so fast that I couldn't even say goodbye to you. My phone, my line, everything changed. But I thought of you every night. The most beautiful heart behind that cardboard. Chica took a step back. Duel, I waited for you. Every day, I know. That's why I came. Duel had returned, but this return would not be easy. Because Chica was no longer the same. She was now the girl who had taken out her cardboard on stage. She had discovered her own strength. Days passed, and the two began to meet again. Chica no longer wore cardboard. Her classmates began to see her in a different light. But deep down, new questions arose with Duel's arrival. One day, as they walked together after school, Chica asked, Duel, did you wait until the competition to return? Or did you not dare to come until I became brave? This question stunned Duel. I always thought you were brave, but maybe. I had to wait until you saw yourself as brave. Chica fell silent. She wasn't sure if the answer was right. But she was sure of one thing. He would no longer hide behind cardboard. Everything changed at school that week. Chica attended invitations from students, gave speeches at the book club, and even started performing on stage at the drama club. She was no longer a cardboard girl. She was Chica. But there was an eye watching them from the other side of the school. The popular girl group leader who used to make fun of Chica. But now, there was jealousy in her eyes. Because the girl everyone used to laugh at was now being applauded. And Iodel couldn't accept this situation. One morning, when Chica entered her classroom, she found a note on her desk. A small envelope, a card carefully placed inside. Beauty only shines with courage. From an admirer. Chica was surprised. She looked around with the note in her hand, but everyone was busy with their own business. Who had sent it? Duel, or someone else? That day, for the first time, she was confused. She was having a good time with Duel, but something was missing inside her. The void left by Duel's departure had not been completely filled. Perhaps his arrival was only a compliment. Perhaps it was not the end of her own story. At night, as she turned over in bed, she looked in the mirror. She used to keep the cardboard by her bedside, but now she had put a journal in its place. She opened the cover and began to write. I was the girl inside the cardboard. Now I look at the life outside the cardboard. But I still ask, did true love love me with the cardboard? Or with my courage on stage? And that night, she made a decision. She would chart a path for herself. There was someone waiting at the school gate the next morning. Iodel. She approached with a smile. Being brave didn't make you beautiful. It made you dangerous. Chica held her head high. It's good that you're afraid. Because I'm not hiding anymore. And she walked. This story was just beginning. Chica's heart was beating with a strange excitement as she walked to school that morning. The note inside the envelope was still in her bag. Who had written it? Was it Duel or someone else? As she entered the school, Duel approached her. He had a bouquet of flowers in his hand, a warm smile on his face. I thought of you this morning, he said. Beauty shines through the cardboard, but now I can see it clearly. Chica smiled, but deep down she wanted to know if it was him who had written the note. She opened her bag, took out the envelope, and handed it to Duel. Is that you? Duel examined the envelope, then shook his head. No, it's not me. But I wish I had written it. Chica turned her head in surprise. Who was it then? Days passed. Chica was now the standout student of the school. Her courage had begun to inspire the other students, but she still hadn't learned who that secret admirer was. Every day, she would find small notes on her desk. You are not only beautiful, Even your light would be ashamed of you. Even your shadow has a hard time following you, because your steps illuminate the future. These words made her heart flutter. But one day, something unusual happened. Next to the note was a small, handmade cardboard mask. On it were written in gold letters, "Cardboard didn't hide you. It made you, you." When Chica picked it up, her eyes filled with tears. Who could understand her so deeply? After school, one of her classmates, Toby, came up to Chica. He was usually a quiet, unobtrusive boy, but he had a keen eye for observation. "Chica, I have to tell you something," he said shyly. Chica looked up. "I wrote the notes. I made the cardboard mask, because I always saw you. Even when you were wearing cardboard, you were brighter than everyone else." Chica's eyes widened. "Was it you?" Toby bowed his head. "Duel may have been impressed by seeing you again, but I never lost you, because I never forgot you." At that moment, something different stirred inside Chica. She had never looked at Toby like this before. But there was such sincerity in his words. Her heart was disoriented for the first time. That night, she wrote the following lines in her diary. "True love is not in the one who sees beauty, but in the one who knows it without waiting." And for the first time, she returned to her cardboard box, but this time not to hide. Brush in hand, she wrote the following sentence on the box: "I am here, in any way." But the most unexpected thing happened the next day. Duel declared his love to her with a microphone in his hand in the schoolyard. The whole school was watching. "Chica, when I saw you again, I realized losing you would be the biggest mistake of my life. Please, give me another chance." The crowd was silent. All eyes were on Chica, but she was looking at only one person, Toby. And Chica slowly walked to the stage, took the microphone. "Duel, when you started seeing me, I was already starting to show." Then she turned to Toby and smiled. "And some people don't see with their eyes, they see with their hearts." At that moment, the crowd erupted in applause. Toby blushed in embarrassment, but his eyes were shining. But the story didn't end there. Because those spots, those pimples that Chica had been carrying on her face for years, began to fade away day by day. First the redness, then the marks began to fade. She didn't go to the doctor. She didn't use any creams. She just loved herself when she looked in the mirror. And one day, her mother said, "My beautiful girl, it wasn't the spots on your face. It was the fear in your heart that made you look ugly." She was now the most popular girl in school, but for her, the real victory was knowing herself. He threw away the cardboard, but he never forgot its story. Yes, our story is over. What did you get from this story? Let's meet in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Love, bye.